Hey everybody, good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Tyngsborough TV Live. I am, of course, Town Media Director Steve Brogan, and you're watching Tyngsborough TV's Tyngsborough Tuesday segment, where I invite various town businesses located in Tyngsborough to come in and talk about what they do in town and why, and all that fun information, the who, what, when, where, and whys of all these different businesses. Don't forget, you can catch this broadcast on all the various Facebook pages that we share this across, as well as YouTube. On both of those services, you can also chime in and ask questions if you want to ask questions of our guests or myself. And you can also watch this on Tyngsborough at tyngsboroughma.gov on our video on demand and streaming service, and on Comcast Channel 8 and Verizon Channel 29. So my guests this afternoon are from Windsoul Studios, and I'm going to let you guys say your names. I know, Gail, I apologize, I didn't ask your name beforehand.
That's okay.
But we have two lovely guests this afternoon, so introduce yourself, ladies.
My name is Gail Lachs, and I am the founder, owner of Windsoul Studio with my husband, Steve, who's not here today, but probably behind the scenes doing work.
Making sure the place still runs.
Appreciating, yeah.
Excellent.
And I'm Julie Itron, and I'm the studio manager at Windsoul Studio.
Excellent, excellent. So I've got to say, I recently have come to find that I enjoy yoga. I've been to 2 classes so far.
Yeah.
They do it here at the town hall. In fact, in this room, a woman from the elementary school comes over. Allison Marcellus, she comes over and does yoga for us. So I enjoy it. I actually really like it. I mean, I've never been like a workout guy, really, so much about that type of person necessarily. But I actually really like yoga. I like the feeling you get after. It's kind of this like euphoric, tingly, sort of relaxed. It's really nice. Yeah.
It's a bit addictive.
It seems like it. Yeah. I actually missed last week because I was out sick, and I was disappointed. I'm like, I want to go to yoga. I kind of want to go. I kind of want to go to work.
Yeah. That's what happens. It just takes 1 or 2 classes, and then before you know it, you own a studio.
Right.
I don't know if I'll go that far, but
You switch careers and you manage one. So.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do TV from a yoga studio or something. That'd be
exactly.
right. So tell me a little bit about yourselves and why you got into yoga. What got you into it?
Yeah, it actually started in a very similar way where
Do me a favor, just pull that mic up a little closer.
Oh, sure.
There you
I'll
go.
sit a little closer.
There you go. That's
good yoga posture. I had decided to try a class, and it was so many years ago now, I couldn't even tell you exactly what drew me to it at the time. But I tried a class, and I fell in love with it, and it really only took me a few classes, and I said, this is something I want to do, and I want to share. So I decided to take a teacher training.
Okay.
And that's a big investment in your life, I would say, is teacher training. It's probably not so well known, but a yoga instructor actually has a minimum of 200 hours of training.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a big time investment. It takes anywhere from 6 months to a year, or sometimes people can do them in a month if they do what's called an immersion, and they just go and live somewhere and learn. But yeah, it took about a year for me to get that certification, and that certification not only includes, understanding the asana, which are the postures, and the breath work, the pranayama, but the philosophies of yoga, the teachings of yoga, the history of it, and then a certain amount of hours in anatomy and physiology training, and understanding, the energy body, the mind, body, spirit connection. And so there's lots of training, and it is fairly structured.
Really?
Yeah. So
I was actually going to ask you, like, how you get how you become a yoga instructor, but you answered my question.
Yeah, you have to find a studio that's accredited, or a location that's accredited, or you don't have to, but it's really a good idea. And so that's something that we do at our studio, is that we train people. So there are many different variations of the training, but you start with usually 200 hours, and then beyond that, like I'm in the middle of completing my 500 hours, so that'll bring me up to 500 hours. And I'm studying at a location out in Western Mass called Kripalu.
Okay.
And so we study a lot more than just the yoga, but we study something called Ayurveda, which we practice a little bit over at Windsoul as well, which is a sister science to yoga.
So are there different levels to yoga? Like, is there like yoga master, yoga,
I think we're all striving for master, but we're all kind of beginners when it comes down to it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that we really do at Windsoul is try to cater to beginners. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you said, do you do training there as well for instructors?
We do.
Oh, okay.
We have a training running right now. Yeah.
Excellent. Are these things that it sounds like you pay to become an instructor, though, right? You have to pay to take the classes in order to.
It's an investment for sure. Yeah, it's a couple $1,000s at least.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So this isn't something you take lightly. You actually
No.
consciously say, I want to be a yoga instructor.
Yeah, it's anywhere, depending on the program that you enroll in, it's anywhere from from $2,000 to $3,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and in the program that I run or enroll in out in Western Mass is even a bigger investment than that.
Oh, okay.
So.
Wow. Danielle Robichon says that she loves Windsoul Studios. She's just started there. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danielle.
tell me a little bit about the sort of the history of yoga, because I don't know a lot about it. I bet a lot of people watching honestly don't know much about it either.
Yeah, it goes back about 5,000 years, as in terms of the practice. But initially, the practice, see, that's the thing about yoga is, I think it gets a reputation as what would you say, like glorified stretching?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I could see that.
So,
Yeah.
people think it's about, it's to help me relax or to stretch or be more flexible. And, all the time we hear, I don't practice.
Right. I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible. So we
Yeah.
hear that a lot.
So I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not flexible in any way, shape, or form. Ask my wife; she'll laugh when I even mention it. But I thought the same thing. But it's really not. It doesn't seem like it's that way at all. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and the practice initially, when it originated, was really geared toward helping people to sit in meditation longer.
Okay.
So the practice was like 4 postures.
Right.
I think, yeah, 4 postures, and they were really geared just toward making it more comfortable to sit in meditation longer, and that's the original practice.
Really?
Yeah, so it wasn't all this stand on your hands and
Right.
Oh, okay.
all the stuff that you see on Instagram these days. But yeah, that has developed over time. But initially, it was about the practice of meditation and sitting longer meditation. So,
Okay.
that's kind of what the whole teachings of the practice center around is that there are what we call 8 branches. Yeah, 8 branches of yoga, and they initiate with what are called the yamas and the niyamas. And these 2 branches of the practice center around what is our relationship to our community and what is our relationship or personal observances of ourselves, kind of watching our own behavior, and it boils down to kindness. And that's kind of the core of the yoga practice is what we call ahimsa or nonviolence. And so where can we roll that belief system into everything we do? And, that comes into our relationships as well as how we treat ourselves on the mat, how we talk to ourselves on the mat. It's not that I can't do this today because I suck at yoga and I'm so stupid and I wear these dumb pants and, I gained 5 pounds. And yeah, we all do that, but it's kind of remembering, today is a new day, and today I'm just accepting myself at where I am. And so it's a mindset, really. And so, those are the first 2 branches of yoga, working those relationships. And then we get into the pranayama, which is the breath work to help kind of calm the body. And then we get into asana, which is kind of helping the mind to tune in and be connected to how you're feeling in a day, emotionally, physically.
Okay.
And then working with that, from there, all gearing toward meditation. That's kind of being able to sit down and let go of your day, which is, I think, the biggest challenge we hear for people.
Right. And I also think it's why people who try yoga and who have that sort of euphoric experience that you described want to keep going back. And it's not really about the postures, but I think it's just about the opportunity to kind of let go, maybe calm your mind, do some breathing, and just take a step back from all the craziness of our lives.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, my initial thoughts about yoga were much more dramatic. I was thinking it had to do with like ninjas and sword fights and things like that. I could some ancient Asian
I'm
culture.
sure there's some of that too.
There might have been, yeah.
Sometimes we do ninja lunges.
We do.
But
so there we go. See, it actually works.
Yeah.
But I noticed, like you had said, it's very much an inward-looking.
It is.
And focusing on yourself and your breathing, and you mentioned kindness and that kind of stuff as well, which is kind of interesting. Here's a funny question for you. It's kind of a little bit off topic, but what exactly are guys supposed to wear to yoga? Because I don't do
No,
spandex.
it's a great question.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of men who come to the studio, and we actually have a class that meets on Thursday nights called Broga, which is yoga that was originally designed for men. So
Yoga for the bros.
Yeah, yoga for the bros.
I like it. Add an N and you get my
yes,
my last name.
Just kind of welcoming men to practice. And so, my husband he completed the yoga training last year, and so he's a pretty dedicated practitioner. And
Good.
he
Wow.
loves to have conversations about what guys should wear to yoga. So he'll tell you shorts and a t-shirt, and he'll just say, make sure your t-shirt's not so baggy that it flips up during downward facing dog. And that's what we tell women too, is just, that's the biggest thing. But you could wear sweatpants if you wanted. You can wear shorts.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind because I've been wearing like khaki pants or
You
jeans
can wear
or
khaki
whatever.
pants.
Yeah.
It works, but it's a little tough to get into some of those
Yes.
positions.
Yeah,
that
you
don't
want to
like
be able
having
to stretch.
Yeah,
and
you
move,
can't adjust
yeah.
your pants as easily.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So-
So a lot of them wear like some of the spandex shorts, like underneath regular gym
Yes.
shorts.
Yeah,
And then
it's a
we
combo.
have some yoga pants at the studio. We have a little store there, so we do have some of that too. But really something you can move in. I tell people it doesn't have to be expensive, fancy clothes for
No.
it. Just something you can move in and feel comfortable.
So for the takeaway, at least so far, is you don't have to be super flexible.
Nope.
Correct.
It's not gender specific. You can men or women can do it, and it seems like men are into it as well because you
Yeah.
have instructors. Obviously,
Yeah.
I've seen guys in like Newburyport in the park. They're randomly doing yoga in the corners
Yeah.
of the park and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's very much a relaxing, inward-looking focus as opposed to, you're not trying to worry about other things. Or you're just trying to focus on one thing: your breathing and your movements. So two things, I
Yeah.
guess. Really.
Yeah, and it's really geared toward the nervous system in terms of like the sensation that you got after practice is because the sympathetic nervous system is kind of our fight or flight response, right? So
Okay.
it's like, I'm late for work, I've got a deadline, I've got to pick the kids up later, all these kinds of things. Get our sympathetic nervous system stimulated. And this is fight or flight. And I tell my students, your body doesn't recognize the difference between I'm running from danger or I'm late for a meeting. Your body responds in the same way, so it increases your heart rate and your blood pressure, and it increases the cortisol and all of the stress response in the body. And so that can happen just on your commute home from work. Or even especially at the end of a hectic day, that can happen. And so one of the benefits of a yoga practice versus going to something high intensity or aggressive, like right after work, is breath work and kind of slow intentional movement. You're going to have somebody cueing you to kind of always draw yourself back to the present moment, those types of practices. That starts to soothe the parasympathetic nervous system, or activate, I guess is what I should say, the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's our rest and digest. That's the lunch that's been sitting since you ate it because you jumped up and ran to, and then that allows the cortisol levels to drop, which so many people have trouble losing weight because of stress, because of cortisol, and lowers the blood pressure, lowers the heart rate, and changes the breathing. Yeah,
That's my favorite part about it, actually.
Yeah.
I like the movements and everything, but I like the Shavasana after quite different. It's actually very impressive. Again, I was skeptical. I never honestly pictured myself doing yoga, and I was like, you know what, we'll give it a try. Why not?
Right.
Lifting weights and doing all this stuff, you're not actually, calming yourself. You're actually pumping yourself up more. So
yeah, sometimes
Are, so it
Oh,
might
okay.
feel like a stillness at the end to be able to reduce your stress levels, to kind of let go. So it's sort of that's the mindset, I think, and that's kind of what makes yoga different from what people would say is like other forms of exercise. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of a different focus for
interesting.
its
Yeah.
purpose.
So
Yeah.
there's different intensity levels
Yeah.
as yoga goes?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
absolutely. We have a lot of classes, and typically when people call and they ask, to learn a little bit more about the classes, I'll usually start with asking them, like, what are your intentions? What do you need? Are you looking, you're recovering from something? Are you looking for stress relief? Are you looking for flexibility? And, a lot of times I'll get, yeah, all that. And I say, oh, all right, fine.
All of the above.
Right.
Key.
All of that, I get it. And we can offer all of that, but if really what you need is kind of a way to self-calm at the end of a busy day, then I'd gear you towards some of our evening gentle classes. We have classes that happen Monday, Wednesday, Friday night at 7 o'clock, and we call them yin restorative, and that's kind of a play on some of the names of yoga. So a restorative practice is geared toward deep relaxation, and a yin practice is kind of geared more toward deep stretch.
Okay.
So we kind of combine a little bit of it, and it's set to candlelight. And if you've
that must be
probably,
nice.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful,
Yeah, that's
we are
really
very
nice.
blessed with just a beautiful space. It's very softly lit. It's got a nice calming vibe to it.
Excellent. Yeah.
And so when we light candles and we play soft music, and we put on our yoga voices and talk really soft, use a microphone, then
I start to drift off.
yeah,
really.
and we move people through gentle postures, and we give them props. Everything you possibly need when you come in, we have. So
Oh, okay.
we have bolsters and blocks and blankets and every prop that you could need, and we use a lot of them.
Yeah.
Do okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, do you need a lot of materials? I mean, I know there's a yoga mat, obviously, but do you need other things to do
We
yoga?
have mats, so
Yeah.
you don't even need a yoga mat.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we'll provide one for you to
Excellent.
use during practice. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Maureen Botello asks, do you have bar class?
Bar classes,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't do
Are you-
bar at the
No.
studio.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, we're strictly a yoga meditation.
Okay.
Yeah, not at
What
this
is
point
bar?
in
I don't
time.
even know.
Can you answer that better
It's
than
a different exercise class.
Oh, okay.
where
Yeah,
actually
it
you're
does
using
combine
a
some of the
ballet bar.
elements.
Yeah, so usually it's with a ballet bar against
Oh,
mirrors.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess, so you don't do that then. That's okay.
Yeah,
but
we
you
don't.
do yoga, so that's
Yeah,
the
we
focus.
we do a lot of different practices that get into, I guess, some of that strength work.
Yes.
I would say.
Interesting.
similar.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit now about some of the things that you offer at the studio. We've talked a little bit about it, but like list off, I guess, some of the classes, and
Mhm.
I'd actually like to know some more about like the different moves that you focus on. I imagine there's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of different things and some of the intensity levels, so folks know they can maybe join like a beginner or an intermediate or a more advanced class, maybe. Some of that stuff.
Yeah, we focus a lot on, like I said, the different time of day. We'll do gentle classes in the evening that are a little more meditative.
Okay.
And then we do gentle classes in the morning that actually have more movement and are designed to energize you for the day. So we have a kind of a different variety of gentle classes. There's the Relax class, and that includes aromatherapy. And we do have a couple male instructors. Chuck teaches Relax with aromatherapy, so he uses essential oils to kind of add a different layer to that. He also leads our Broga classes.
Okay.
And
That must be interesting with the scents, because we're so much of our senses are our smell.
Yeah.
We use a lot of our smell. So
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, and there's different. We sell essential oils in our store, and so there's different oils depending on what kind of tone you want to set. If you're going to energize, or you want to calm, or you want to ground, so he'll usually set the tone for the class with that. But we try to make sure that we note which classes have that for people who have any sensitivity to that. So it's usually isolated to those classes for the most part.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so there's the gentle classes, and then Julie teaches a line and slow
Line
flow.
and slow flow,
Yeah.
which is sort of it's a slower class that does some flowing movement, but we focus a lot on alignment. So how to find kind of the best way to hold your body in a pose so that you yourself can get the most benefit. You're not going to hurt yourself. So that's another one of our classes that we offer.
Let me ask you real quick. Does yoga have a high risk of injury? Is there like a...
It can.
Yeah?
Yeah, it can. And so my background is all in medicine. My studies in college were clinical laboratory science, and I used to teach anatomy and physiology.
Okay.
And so the practice to me centers a lot around alignment and safe movement. So we do try to incorporate that into everything that we do in terms of teaching people how to safely move, especially if they've had a joint replacement, or they've had a meniscus tear, or an ACL injury, or something like that. Then know that they're stepping into a place where we're familiar with those conditions, and we know how to guide them safely and offer them props where they need it. But it can easily happen.
Really?
Very
Okay.
easily.
I'm actually interested to hear that you can work with folks who've had some of these
Yeah.
major, reconstructive type surgeries, knee replacements, and
Yeah.
I imagine
Yeah, we have
hip
a lot
replacements,
of
things like that
we have a
too, yeah.
lot of hip replacements.
Really?
So a lot of our clients have had hip replacements.
Shoulder.
Some, shoulders, knees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And are there are there special moves for those type of things, or is it just you use the props in order to maybe get around some of those?
There are things we'll
ailments?
tell them not to do.
Yeah.
And then there are props that we'll provide to help them make them more comfortable. But there are definitely, we have a lot of clients who have MS.
Oh,
And,
okay.
we make sure that the room is not too warm in situations like that, and, help them where they need a little assistance with balance. There's definitely a different approach to every condition that we might be working with. And even if they come in and, they walk in for an unexpected class, if we weren't expecting them, we can adjust, and
Really? Wow.
modify the class for them right in that moment. Yeah.
That's really cool, because you don't get that if you go to a gym, unless you
No.
get a personal trainer, of course. But you don't get that night, people adapting things to you, your specific needs and whatnot. Especially
Yeah.
even in a group setting. I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah, we try, and that's why we say we really cater to our members, and we make sure we're talking to them when they come in, and that we understand a little bit about what their needs are or what their fears are. There's a lot of people coming just afraid. I mean,
Really?
right down to, I'm afraid I'm gonna look silly, that I don't know what I'm doing, that you're just gonna
I can
start
see that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
chanting.
I had the same.
Yeah. There's people who think we just sit and, I don't know, burn incense and
Lama, lama,
chant.
lama, lama.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
No,
right.
it's none of that. And I won't say it doesn't happen, but no, we
That's
wouldn't
the
throw ya.
super advanced
Yeah.
emperor yoga or something. Yeah.
We do enjoy that, but no, we wouldn't throw anybody into that. We don't throw around Sanskrit terms. It's kind of like, put your foot there, or move your knee there, step back, and oh, look, you're in Warrior One, and we call that Virabhadrasana 1,
Right.
And so, we'll kind of guide people into the practice. So, and it can be anything from I'm going to embarrass myself to I'm going to pass gas. And I'm going to be embarrassed.
Right, again, embarrassed or I'm scared.
Which does happen. So if you
happens.
take yoga, it happens.
Yeah,
So
it
don't
happens.
be,
Yeah.
And that's that rest and digest reflex that I said. It's once you relax, your body starts to kind of move, and that's a good thing. A lot of the yoga postures are actually geared toward relieving that kind of bloating in the body, improving digestion. And so, one of my teachers always used to say, any bodily noises are open and expected in yoga. You still, want to giggle, but
I mean, it's funny still, you can't help it.
Yeah. I know Julie's over there like, leave it to
Right,
Gail.
I know. We
Just brought
just
up
went
farting.
there already. Yeah. So
Let me just quickly
People
reset.
are thinking about it.
They are. Well, it happens. You're right, and it's one of those things. It's
It does,
natural. It's
right.
going to happen.
Yeah.
And where
Nobody
you're doing
cares.
so right. Nobody cares. You're in a safe space. You're in
Yeah.
a safe place.
right. So to
you.
just kind of like reset and add on to what Gail was saying, I think one of our strengths at Windsoul is that we love beginners. So we really work very hard to welcome new yoga practitioners to the studio. And if that means, that you call and say, I'm afraid I want to come to this class, and if you get me, then I'll say, I will text the instructor and let him or her know you're coming, what your name is, and that you're brand new to the studio so that you can be welcomed accordingly. And we work very hard to learn our members' names, to make sure that we're greeting them, that we're helping them get set up for their classes, and that we're just trying to make sure that everyone understands that it is a safe, welcoming place and that you can come and you don't have to worry about what you look like or how much you weigh or if you've ever done yoga before or that you can't touch your toes. That none of that matters.
Excellent. I definitely could not touch my toes when I started. Yeah, and I've only done 2 classes, but I
Yeah.
learned to bend my knees. That was
Yeah,
that was
that's
an
it.
interesting.
Exactly,
Like,
right.
bend your knees. Oh yeah, I can now touch my toes again.
Yep.
And I'm not even a big guy.
That's the key to it.
Right.
Yeah, is being willing to kind of modify, and that's what we try to guide people through.
Yeah.
And
Tell me a little bit about posture. Seems like it's a big part of yoga, and not just the yoga postures, but the actual posture of sitting up straight. And that, I know I slouch a lot. So
well, one of the it's like a byproduct, I think, of the yoga practice is good posture. And I noticed over time that I would go to my children's sporting events, and I'd look down the row and everybody's on the bleachers, just kind of, and I would always be just sitting there, and not that that's something I'm trying to do. That's just a side effect of yoga, is that ability to kind of shoulders back, sit tall. And what you find over a regular practice, especially as we get into that phase where we're getting a little older and suddenly you go to the doctor and you're getting a little shorter.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're not actually getting shorter. It's just that the space between the bones in our spine is compressing a little bit, and so we appear shorter, right? We're not actually shorter. And so over time with the yoga practice, one of the things that we're constantly telling people to do is to sit taller, to lengthen the spine, to draw the shoulders down, to be able to breathe. And each time you're doing that, you're actually strengthening the muscles between the bones in the back. And so you're kind of regaining that space back.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can gain that back just by doing yoga.
One
That's
of our
fascinating.
clients came in. She was very excited. She'd just gone to her physical and she grew a 1/4 inch.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
she
kidding.
was quite proud of herself.
Really?
Yeah.
I had a year where I had, before I started the practice, where I had finally started to dip down a little bit, where they were kind of saying to me that, oh, you look a little shorter, and I was like, no, something's wrong with your scale, I'm like barely 40. So then and then I started the yoga practice, and the next time I went back, I was back to where I had originally been, and I thought, it was something was wrong with their measurement device last time. And then same measurement device, next time I went, I was like a 1/2 inch taller. And I thought,
Wow.
oh my God, how is that even possible? They didn't change it on my license at the registry, though.
No, they don't usually want to do that. Yeah, they give you that cross look and stand still, take your picture.
Yeah.
No offense to the registry people.
Exactly.
We said it, not us.
But it sounds like that, right? Let me just quickly reset. So everybody knows you're watching. This is my Tyngsborough Tuesday segment where I invite local businesses from the town of Tyngsborough to come in and talk about what you do in town and why. If you'd like to be part of it, feel free to email me, sbrogan@tyngsboroughma.gov, or you can send me a message through Facebook. That's fine as well. You can also watch this broadcast on the various pages on Facebook that we shared across, and on YouTube. You can comment and ask questions, which we've had a couple already on Facebook. And you can also watch us on Comcast 8, Verizon 29, and at tyngsboroughma.gov on our video on demand and streaming. So my question for you now is, I'm a new guy. I want to try yoga for the first time. Where do I start? What should I know to get going? What do I need to bring with me? And then how do I get in touch with you guys?
Well, you can find us. We're all over the web. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We have a full website, so windsoulstudio.com, and you can learn about all of our classes there. And, it would be the same
If
question.
you're local, you can drive to the mall, and then instead of turning in the parking lot, just go across the street and find us.
Yeah. And we're in the same plaza where the AMC Theater is. So right
so
behind.
440 Middlesex.
Yes.
Road, right?
Yeah. And I always have to say to people, where Trader Joe's used to be?
We're right next door.
That's where we are.
I miss Trader Joe's in that spot.
Yeah,
I mean, they're in a good
know.
spot now, but
I know, I do miss them there too. But yeah, that's where we are, right in that space, and we have a lovely little space in there. And the one thing about the studio is it's really big. Our practice space holds something like 50 to 60 people. So
oh wow, that's a good size studio.
it's a big space.
Yeah.
It's the whole unit's about 3,500 square feet. So we have a store in the front, and then we have the studio practice space. We have a place for people to leave their coats and shoes and all of that, and that's spacious as well. And then we have a back room we do some classroom work in, and we have a Reiki room, so we do some energy work.
Oh, so you do Reiki as well. I noticed that on your
do, yeah.
website. That's I actually had that done once myself. That was a different experience.
That'll bring out the
not
tingly.
bad, not in a bad way, but a different odd. It was just weird. I'd never experienced anything like that. It was interesting.
Yeah, so we do a lot of that too. And we even offer some yoga classes where we'll do, usually we do them as events, so we'll do restorative, and then we'll offer Reiki to the people in the class. But we have some teachers a lot of our teachers are Reiki practitioners.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so, during practice, they might go around and offer Reiki to people.
Is there like 4 levels of Reiki? 3 or 4 or 5? I forget.
Yeah.
Exactly.
4. I guess the 4th is the master,
Yeah. The woman who did it for me, she was a 3, I believe. She was trying to get her 4th level, however that works. But.
And that's just sort of the level you get to where you're able to teach other people.
Okay.
The master.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you also do hot yoga?
We don't do hot yoga, and we don't heat the studio. It's still warm enough in there. I mean, we typically have the studio anywhere from 72 to 76 degrees. No, 74 to 76 degrees. And, for us, we really believe in warming the body naturally through practice. And so it's our intention to usually have the place set to allow you to kind of warm naturally as you practice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we're running up against the clock. Do you have any last things you want to tell folks? Actually, why don't we just tell people how you can get in touch with you?
Yeah.
And some of the classes maybe you offer so that we can get people's appetite.
Yeah, definitely
for,
go
yoga.
And find our website, and you can read all about our different classes on the website. And we do a lot of other classes there. We do energy healing work and psychic development work and intuitive readings. We do intuitive readings as well. So if anybody's looking for tarot cards and mediumship and all that stuff, we do that stuff there. But we also lead classes in that also. And you do wonderful kids classes.
Yeah, so we have kids classes.
Oh, you do
too.
yoga kids classes too? Excellent.
Yeah,
that's
we
cool.
do. So right now we're working with the 7 to 12 age range. And we're always, interested in people who are kind of looking for something different, so they can reach out to us, kind of let us know if there are other ages that they have that they're interested in having kids classes for. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's very exciting to kind of share sort of the tools of yoga with a younger generation, and hopefully help them grow up and kind of not end up in the situations that some of the adults in our lives have. So just to be able to manage stress and kind of self-calm and self-soothe, I think these are great tools for us to be teaching kids.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. It's basically prevention of later, slouching over and all these bad things. I probably should have had yoga when I was little.
And the kids respond to it so well. They love guided meditation, and they love yoga, and I can't tell you how many times they come in